So as we get closer to the iPad 11's release date, we have evidence that this iPad is launching very soon in leaked source code, and so let's dive in. So reliable leaker Evan Blass has found evidence of a new iPad 11 alongside the new iPad Airs and iPhone SE 4 in a database. Now unfortunately that's all we get, but of course these products being found together does suggest that we are getting a spring event where Apple could launch these products together. And so that's at least confirmation that we can still expect the iPad 11 in March or April. Now the main upgrade with iPad 11 is going to be its new chipset, and Mark Gurman recently gave us some new information regarding that. So let's now jump into that report. In his latest Power On newsletter, he says we can expect the A17 Pro with 8 gigs of RAM in the iPad 11, which is the exact same chip configuration we saw with the iPad mini late last year. And I'm not gonna lie guys, I know Gurman is a credible source, but that just seems way too good to be true. I understand that Apple wants to bring AI support to all their iPads, but remember there's a $150 difference between the base iPad and iPad mini, and so for them to share the same specs when the price gap is that massive is certainly confusing. This is why, as I've speculated before, I could either see Apple increasing the price of the base iPad yet again, or splitting the base iPad into 2 tiers. Let me explain. In one of Gurman's older reports, he mentioned entry-level iPads in plural, with him then telling us the codenames for these iPads are J481 and J482. Now, what does this mean? Well, the most likely possibility is that this is just the Wi-Fi and cellular version of the base iPads, but usually there won't be separate codenames for such minute differences. But Gurman also fails to explain what exactly this could mean, and so I started to speculate that maybe there's 2 different iPad 11 models, one with Apple Intelligence support and one without. And so I reckon the $349 iPad 10 we have today is going to be replaced by an A16 iPad 11, one that does not support Apple Intelligence, but will still be a decent spec upgrade over the A14 in the iPad 10. Then maybe for $399 or $429, we get an A17 Pro version of the iPad 11 that has 8 gigs of RAM instead of 6 gigs, and also most importantly supports Apple Intelligence. I know it would be weird for the more expensive iPad mini to not have a superior chipset, but maybe later this year the iPad mini gets an update to the A18, but at the very least there would not be a huge price difference anymore. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. And let's be honest guys, Apple's not going to be offering the power of the A17 or the A18 for just $349. That seems too good to be true. I think similar to what they did with AirPods 4, where there's a non-ANC version and an ANC version, we get 2 versions of the iPad 11. And remember when the iPad 10 originally came out, the iPad 9 had stuck around for $329. And so this would not be the first time they're splitting the base iPad into 2 models. And yeah, alternatively, Apple could of course increase the price of the iPad 11 and then keep around the iPad 10 for a lower price. But because the A14 is getting pretty old as is, I think Apple's going to launch 2 different models. I know it's weird, but we all know that Apple cares a lot about Apple Intelligence, and also they care about profit margins, and so I can see this happening. Though eventually the higher end model with the A17 Pro is going to come down in price to $349, just like the iPad 10 came down from $449 to $349. Now you may be asking, is that literally the only change that's going to set this apart from the iPad 10? Well, mostly yes, but based on what we've seen with other recent iPad releases, we can expect a few other smaller changes. The first thing are connectivity improvements. I can definitely see them making a huge fuss about Wi-Fi 6E, wow! Even though most don't have Wi-Fi 6E routers to actually take advantage of the better speeds, but expect that alongside Bluetooth 5.3 support. The next thing I'm sort of curious about is Apple Pencil Pro support. You see, when the iPad 10 originally launched, Apple led us to believe this could not support the regular Apple Pencil 2 because it needed a charging strip where the landscape camera was, and so we had to settle for the first gen Pencil and its horrific charging methods. That dongle still sends shivers down my spine, but thankfully they then launched the much better USB-C Apple Pencil. Now though, with the iPad M Pro, Apple has restructured the magnetic strip so that of course you get wireless charging whilst also getting the landscape camera. And so there is a possibility where you get Apple Pencil Pro with the iPad 11. Yes, it's going to be very overkill because this pencil has bloody gyroscope support and all kinds of cool tech that's going to be wasted on a display that's still not going to be laminated and likely is going to lack P3 support, but I just want some continuity in the range. It would be nice if all iPads supported the same pencils. Remember, you won't be forced to buy the Apple Pencil Pro, just like the other iPads. You can settle for the USB-C one if you don't need some of the fancier features, but considering the USB-C model lacks things like pressure sensitivity and also wireless charging, it would be nice to offer some of those features for iPad 11 consumers as well. You can argue it does not make sense for a non-Pro iPad to have a Pro Pencil, but then again, the Air Mini already support the Pro Pencil, so Apple does not give a damn about their naming scheme making any sense. The iPad Air is thicker than the iPad Pro, so yeah, just bring Apple Pencil Pro support to all non-Pro iPads. We should not need a compare page for iPad pencils. All of them should just support the same pencils. Finally, I can see them updating the colors. At the end of the day, I think that's what most consumers care about anyway. Here's hoping we see a bright orange or green this time around to get all the Apple sheep way too excited about a design from 2018, and that includes me, by the way. The Magic Keyboard Folio should also get a price cut because it makes no sense. It's only $100 cheaper than the actual iPad right now, so maybe that's revised to $149 or $199. The government does give us some pretty interesting Magic Keyboard related rumors. So apparently suppliers are developing a new Magic Keyboard that's scheduled to launch by the middle of 2025, and what's interesting is that this could be designed for both the iPad and iPad Air. It's going to lack an aluminium top case like the Magic Keyboard for the M4 iPad Pro, but I think Apple's going to simplify the keyboard range as well, and offer the same keyboard for both the base iPad and iPad Air, which honestly would be a good move because it's kind of weird the Folio keyboard has a function row, but the regular Magic Keyboard doesn't. And by the way, this new Magic Keyboard should actually include a function row, so yeah, it would be nice for the Air to get that as well. Release-wise, all we know for now is that this new iPad's launching during the spring. Mr. Gurman is being vague as per usual and simply says we should see it by April, and whilst it's annoying he's not giving us an actual time frame, what he says does make sense. Yes, there have been rare occasions where we've got products before spring, for example M2 MacBook Pros in Jan, but generally Apple sticks to launching products during March or April, so the new iPad launching around then does make sense. Now, could we see an event or could this be a press release? Right now unsure, and considering this is the base iPad, Apple could easily just drop this as a slight refresh. But then again, there are lots of products Apple's planning to launch in spring, so that could equate to a massive event, we shall see, but at the very least guys, we should be getting this new base iPad very soon. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching. Is your iPhone overheating all the time? Well, it seems iPhone 17 could fix this, because we have news about thermal upgrades coming to the next iPhone, so let's dive right in. So courtesy of Chinese tech site MyDrivers, apparently the complete iPhone 17 range is going to be adopting a vapor chamber heatsink for better thermals. This technology is already popular in the Android space, and if you're wondering how this works, essentially these chambers spread heat evenly across a large surface area, and this prevents